Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Stoic Sage Wisdom, like this video, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue sharing Stoic wisdom with the world. Throughout history, many philosophers have left their mark on human thought. Socrates with his method of questioning, Plato with his ideas about reality, Aristotle with his logic and ethics. But among them all, Zeno of Citium stood out in a completely different way. What made his approach unique? Why do his ideas continue to inspire millions today? In this video, we will explore how Zeno differed from other great thinkers and why his legacy lives on in Stoic philosophy. 1. From adversity to philosophy. Unlike many other philosophers who came from wealthy families or had access to elite education, Zeno began his journey into philosophy after a shipwreck left him with nothing. While Plato studied at the academy and Aristotle tutored Alexander the Great, Zeno arrived in Athens with no riches or connections, but with an insatiable hunger for knowledge. This humble beginning allowed him to develop a unique perspective on life. He did not speak from comfort, but from real experience of loss and rebuilding. His life itself was proof that true strength does not depend on external circumstances, but on inner attitude. How many times in our lives have we faced setbacks and felt like all is lost? Zeno's story teaches us that every crisis is an opportunity to redefine ourselves. Think of someone like Oprah Winfrey, who was born into extreme poverty and faced numerous hardships in her childhood. Instead of giving up, she used her adversity as fuel to become one of the most influential people in the world. Zeno would have admired this ability to face life with resilience and determination. 2. Philosophy for practical life, not just debate. Many philosophers spent their time in abstract discussions about the nature of the universe or the existence of pure ideas. Zeno, on the other hand, had a clear goal: to make philosophy useful in everyday life. While Plato dreamed of an ideal world and Aristotle categorized nature, Zeno wanted to teach us how to live better in this world, with all its imperfections. Instead of isolating himself in academies, Zeno taught at the painted porch of Athens, accessible to everyone. There were no barriers between knowledge and common people. His teachings focused on self-discipline, emotional control, and acceptance of fate, principles that anyone could apply in their daily life. Imagine a firefighter in the middle of a blaze. He doesn't have time for philosophical debates about the nature of fire. What he needs is discipline, emotional control, and focus on what he can do in that moment. That is the essence of Zeno's philosophy: tools to face reality with courage and serenity. 3. Acceptance of fate and inner tranquility. Unlike the Epicureans, who sought pleasure as the goal of life, or the Cynics, who rejected society and its norms, Zeno taught a unique balance: to accept what we cannot change and focus on what we can control. This revolutionary idea not only transformed his followers, but has been adopted by leaders, entrepreneurs, and people who have overcome adversity. Think of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison. Instead of filling himself with hatred or despair, he used that time to strengthen his mind and spirit. When he was released, he was ready to lead a nation without resentment. That is the Stoic mindset that Zeno taught. 4. A philosophy based on action, not just words. While some philosophers built complex theories that only academics could understand, Zeno promoted simplicity. His message was clear: actions matter more than words. It is not enough to talk about virtue. We must practice it. Stoics do not believe in complaints or excuses. They believe in waking up every day and doing what needs to be done, regardless of circumstances. In a world where many seek shortcuts or blame others for their failures, Zeno's philosophy reminds us that each person is responsible for their own character and destiny. Elon Musk could have been just another dreamer with crazy ideas about rockets and electric cars, but what sets him apart is his action. Like Zeno, he did not just talk about his ideals, he turned them into reality through constant effort. 5. Emotional resilience and mastery over desires. Zeno's teachings on emotional resilience set him apart from many other philosophical traditions of his time. Unlike the hedonists, who pursued pleasure as the ultimate goal, Zeno believed that true happiness did not come from external pleasures, but from inner mastery, specifically, mastering one's emotions and desires. According to Stoicism, emotions are natural and inevitable, but we should not allow them to dictate our actions. Life is full of hardships, setbacks, and disappointments, and those who rely on fleeting pleasures for happiness will always find themselves at the mercy of circumstances beyond their control. A true Stoic, however, learns to cultivate inner strength, remaining steady regardless of external conditions. Think of emotions like waves in the ocean. A person without emotional control is like a small boat tossed around by every wave, while a Stoic is like a skilled sailor, using reason as their compass to navigate stormy waters without being overcome. The mental toughness of Navy SEALs. One modern example of Zeno's teachings in action can be found in the rigorous training of Navy SEALs. Their training is designed to push them to the absolute limit, testing not just their physical endurance, but also their emotional and psychological resilience. Many recruits drop out, but those who succeed do so by learning to control their thoughts, regulate their fear, and stay calm under extreme pressure. This mirrors Zeno's idea that true freedom comes from mastering oneself. Just as a Navy SEAL remains composed in life-threatening situations, a Stoic remains unshaken in the face of adversity, knowing that external events are beyond their control, but their reactions are entirely within their power. 6. Community and brotherhood over individualism. While many philosophers, including Nietzsche, emphasize the power of the individual and self-reliance, Zeno saw things differently. He believed that human beings are inherently social creatures, and our highest calling is not to isolate ourselves in pursuit of personal success, but to live in harmony with others. In Stoicism, personal virtue is deeply connected to contributing to the greater good. For Zeno, the world was like a vast interconnected body, where each person played a role similar to that of an organ in the human body. Just as the heart cannot function without the lungs, and the brain relies on the circulatory system, humans thrive when they support one another. Strength, according to Zeno, comes not from isolation, but from unity. This message is more relevant than ever in today's world, where individualism and self-interest often take precedence. In an era dominated by social media, competition, and personal ambition, we sometimes forget the power of community, shared responsibility, and selfless service. Zeno's teachings remind us that true strength comes from lifting others up rather than standing alone. The dedication of doctors and nurses. A powerful modern example of Zeno's philosophy in action is seen in the work of doctors and nurses, especially during times of crisis. Whether it's a pandemic, a war, or a natural disaster, these professionals put their own well-being on the line to help others. They work long hours, endure exhaustion, and often risk their lives, not for personal gain, but because they believe in something bigger than themselves. Their sacrifices embody the Stoic ideal of virtue as service. Just as Zeno taught that we should act in ways that benefit society rather than just ourselves, these healthcare workers dedicate themselves to healing and saving lives, proving that true strength lies in collective action and compassion. Zeno's legacy in our lives. Zeno was not the most famous philosopher of his time, nor the richest, nor the most powerful. But his legacy has endured because his teachings are practical, accessible, and eternal. He taught us to accept what we cannot control, to focus on what we can, and to live with virtue no matter the external circumstances. Today, in a world full of uncertainty, stress, and challenges, his lessons are more relevant than ever. The question is, are we ready to apply them in our own lives? If you found value in this video, don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Sage Wisdom, like, and comment on which of Zeno's lessons inspired you the most. See you in the next video with more Stoic wisdom to apply in your daily life.